Of course, of course. I don't know. Hi guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. Let's start this over again. Afternoon. Welcome to the stream, Corin. Thank you so much for your subscription re-up. Thank you so much for your continued support. I'm not sure. I thought you got or you re-upped on Friday, but the subscription popped up today. So thank you again. I'm doing pretty good today. So, today I kind of want to go over what we are about to do in today's stream. As the title suggests, we are going to be finishing off our hold down. So there's a few lumps and bumps in the section that goes into the Pritchell hole. And then there are a few areas that we need to thin down. So we're going to focus on this the stake area, and then we will be bending this so that we can use it as a hold down. Got a little bit of a twist in here. We're going to fix that as we bend it over. After we are done with this guy, we're going to use it to hold down our axe head. And I went ahead and actually drilled a hole in the body of this axe all the way through. So we've got kind of like a weird, like, I don't know, round section. We'll end up probably cutting that off. But I drilled a hole here, so it's more like a pilot hole, so that when we use our drift, it won't take us as long to get all the way through. So this hole is a lot smaller than the drift. So the drift is going to go in that hole and expand it out. So hopefully it works a little bit quicker than if I were to use the hammer and drift out that hole from scratch. So that's the plan for the day. So yeah, I am going to start the forge, and then I have a few other things that I want to talk about today as far as like housekeeping things. So let's start the forge so we can start heating up some metal. Super, super exciting. We will definitely have to change this propane tank before the end of the stream. And so the first thing that we're going to talk about is that this week's propane's support is the butler. So we did not get a donor this week for our propane. So the butler generously donated, the funds in order for me to continue streaming. So thank you, butler, so much. And if you would like to support my propane habits, my addiction to propane, you can send $25 to my KoFi, which is down in the description or on the channel page, depending on where you are watching today. And I want to thank my previous propane donors as well. You guys are amazing. So yeah, we are going to be going into ad time shortly. So once that ad is done, I will talk about the other exciting thing that I've been up to this weekend. I told you guys on Friday that I had some exciting news that I wanted to share with you guys, but I wasn't going to be able to share it until today. And so once that ad is done, I'm going to share it with you. It's pretty exciting, or I think it is anyway. Maybe less exciting for you guys, but Are you saying you need to check into Propaneaholics Anonymous? I mean, probably. The amount of propane that I go through a week, it's probably not as much as I possibly could, but Dwell Alone, thank you so much for your continued support. Thank you so much for that subscription. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. You know, I just updated our end screen with the subscribers from last month, so I guess I have to update it again, making sure that I've got everybody on there that is a subscriber. So thank you so much for your continued support. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. It would be a lot harder to continue without you guys, you know? All right, let's put the stock in. I forgot to do that already. I'm getting overly excited about some of our updates. Keep being entertaining and informative. I try very hard to be entertaining and informative. So yes, super exciting. And, you know, I'm planning on being here for a good long time into the future, whether I get support or, you know, monetary support or not, you know. Just having you guys watching is support, you know. So I'm so grateful, so grateful for you guys, all of you, and whatever level of support that you can provide, you know. All right, so the ad break is back. So, I wanted to talk to you about how I'm really excited to say that I have received my very first corporate support for the channel and for the TikTok. And so, yeah, I had a company reach out to me over TikTok and offer to send me 2 lovely flannels. So this is one of the flannels, and I will be wearing the other flannel on Wednesday. But Flannel Go is the company that sent me these lovely flannels. They are 60% cotton, which is a really high percentage of cotton nowadays. I have been searching so long for cotton. Stuck old metal recycling. Gray is green. Yes. So yeah, this is a 60% cotton on the outside. And so that the more cotton you have, the better. And it's getting really difficult to find high percentages of cotton in your outerwear or even your innerwear. So I was super excited to see that. But yeah, Flannel Go. They sent me 2 flannels, and so in return, I kind of have to plug them on my TikTok. So I took 5 photos of each of the two flannels, and we're gonna post a 15-minute video and photo slideshows for them on the TikTok channel. So you guys get to kind of benefit from that too, because I'm kind of using the stream to kind of record myself advertising for them for the TikTok. The fashion show. Ray is modeling a 60% cotton flannel. Yes, 60% cotton. It's pretty, you know. I mean, many years ago, you were able to get 100% cotton. Now, you know, you're lucky to find, a lot of cotton at all. So we've got 60%, and so it shouldn't melt through as badly. Hey, Mahalo, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for joining. And this guy, it's like a jacket, so it's got this lovely Sherpa fur on the inside. So this is going to be amazing for me when, you know, it starts getting cooler like it is. So yes, I've got fancy new duds. We've got 2. We've got this lovely tan and navy blue plaid pattern. And then the other one I got is white and black. And that one's a hoodie. It's got a hood. This one's button up, or I guess it's snaps, right? Snappies. And the other one is a zip up hoodie with like a hood. And I'm super excited to wear those as it starts getting cooler. So yeah. Now that I've got that out of the way, I'm going to put my apron back on so that I don't, you know, mess up my new fancy top. And we can get started. Tan and navy or monochrome. So stylish, yes. exciting. Alrighty. We might have to shove up the sleeves later on, but we've got nice button-up sleeves, or, you know, that I can, like, roll up. Yeah, congratulations on the new sponsorship. Thank you so much. I was super excited because I still thought that we were really, really small and that nobody would even look at us for a sponsorship. And so, yeah, when I first actually saw the email where they're like, hey, you know, we'd like to send you some flannels, I was like, this is a scam. It was not. So thank you so much, Flannel Go, for sending me these lovely flannels. So, you know, hopefully this is the first of many more collaborations and sponsorships. I don't want to go too into the, you know, advertisement. I don't want to become like a stock car where, you know, you got like an advertisement every 3 seconds. But, you know, some free stuff, not bad, right? So, like I said, we are going to be continuing to work on our hold it down, and hopefully that works out really, hopefully I can get that done really quickly so we can continue working on the axe, because that is really what I want to be doing, is working on the axe. I'm curious to see if this hole actually makes a difference. I'm really hoping that it will. So like I said, I drilled a hole all the way through our axe head, so I can see the camera through the hole, in hopes that it would be a little bit easier to get the drift to go through. Now, as you can kind of see, the drift is a lot fatter and skinnier than the hole, so we're hoping that it will stretch out correctly, and we should be able to get this through here a lot quicker. You gotta get NASCAR draw and thank all the sponsors in one breath, right? Send Ray free stuff and she will wear it and tell us where it came from and if it's good. Yes, I honestly, it's actually pretty darn warm, to the point where I don't know that I'm gonna be able to wear it for very long during the stream. I mean, it's like 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So that it's getting on the cooler side now, but you know, this is so warm that I'm a little bit nervous that I'll have to pull it off, and you know, it will get a little bit dirty. So yeah, we took 5 photos of each of these guys, and so after I edit them, I'll post them on the Discord, so you guys can see me model them, because yeah, 50 degrees Fahrenheit equals 10 degrees Celsius, a bit chilly. Yeah, I feel like 10 seems a little bit chillier than I thought it was. But I mean, I guess not too bad, because I mean, 32 degrees is 0 Celsius. Or 32 Fahrenheit is 0 Celsius, so I don't know. But yeah, you totally saved me from having to Google what the difference was. Alright. Do we have enough heat? We've got some heat. We can start working. It's definitely warmer than my hoodie that I normally wear out here. You know what? I forgot to change the cameras. That's alright though. I'll change the cameras for our next heat. Alright, back in the fire. Alright. What was I gonna do? I think I was gonna start the record function on my close-up camera, even though I forgot to switch cameras to begin with. Goodness gracious. Glowing metal and a furnace means you are a little warmer than the ambient temperature. Yeah, definitely. But I wore it over to the hardware store when I went and got our new tank of propane for this week, and it kept me nice and toasty while we were exchanging it. Because you have to stand outside, you know? So yeah, it's nice and toasty warm. My sweatshirt, I kind of feel like I want to put something over top of the sweatshirt when it gets this cool. But this, you know, it's got the nice Sherpa inside of it. It works really well. So we'll see. I'll probably have to remove it at some point. We'll probably stick it on the chair. Hopefully, the chair isn't too dusty because I keep my apron on the chair, so it shouldn't be that dusty. Let's see. What else has been going on? So on Saturday, we had to take my cat back to the vet to get his stitches out of his leg. And the vet said that he's recovering very nicely. She said that it could come back, it could not come back. So fingers crossed that the cancerous lump does not return. And that would make me very happy. I would like to keep my cat healthy and happy for, a few more good years, even though he's getting a little on the older side. Yeah, Kitty is, for the most part, okay. He's been recovering very well. He's back to his old run around and jump all over everything self. Being a little orange asshole that he normally is. Might need to forge a hook for the door behind you, and you guys can hang up your hoodie, Mr. Rogers style. Yeah, Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. I could just let you know and then hang it up. That is a great idea, Corwin. I might do that at some point. Not for a little bit, though, because I really want, not today at least, because I really want to get into working on the axe head. Like I said, I want to see how well it works now that I have a pilot hole drilled in it. See how fast I can get the drift through. Ray's neighborhood, Ray's Smithy neighborhood. Yes, you guys are like, great minds. Excellent. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe I should put together a list of dream companies that I want to work with, right? Maybe if I could put together a list of maybe DeWalt or Milwaukee or some tool company, that would be nice. Free tools. Oh, I do need a theme song. I don't know. When you guys said a theme song, the first song that came to mind was It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas, and that's a really weird theme song. I don't know. I don't think it's looking like Christmas. There's no snow out there, although, like I said, it's getting cooler. And the Farmer's Almanac this year said that it was supposed to be super, super cold and super, super snowy this year. So we shall see how accurate they are this year. Usually the Farmer's Almanac isn't too terribly far off for, the year around this area. And, but yeah, I'm hoping that we still get some warmer days, that I'm not freezing my rear end off out here. The theme song of all 900 episodes of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood were different. Were they? I don't remember. I only watched a few episodes of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I watched a whole lot of Sesame Street, though. Here the almanac is about 50% accurate. Just flip a coin. I don't know. Like I said, I honestly, it's pretty accurate here, but I also think that it's created here. And I mean, I feel like it would be more accurate around here because like most of our land is taken up by farms. So there are farms on the East Coast, but I don't feel like they're quite the same, if that makes sense. So I don't know. You guys get the fun stuff like tobacco and I guess some of the more southern areas, there's a little bit of cotton and wheat. I could be wrong though. Maybe I'm thinking someplace else. All right, let's do another heat. Getting a little too close to the horn there. Alrighty. I need to do a little bit more hand forging. I feel like hand forging is taking a little bit more out of me than it was, even a couple months ago. I think I need to like make sure that we're doing a little bit every week. Maybe do a few more heats on the anvil. I feel like we never have enough time over the weekend. Like I said, I did a whole bunch of stuff. I did a little bit of a modeling photo shoot. We went to the vet. We fixed some leaks in the roof. Did a few other things. So we had plenty of stuff that we did. And I feel like they just slip away, weekends do. Mr. Rogers had all of them perform live with world-renowned improv pianist, and he had to keep him interested. Oh, wow. That is something that I didn't know. That would be so cool. An improv pianist, every single one of them would have been different then, So what did you guys do over the weekend? Anything fun? Anything exciting? Like I said, we were pretty busy doing like a bunch of adulting. We even did the grocery shopping. It was kind of weird though. We ended up buying makeup. We bought it in the grocery store, which is kind of unusual. I don't imagine, when I think of buying makeup, I don't think of buying it in the grocery store. But I felt like I needed, because I was modeling the plaids, I felt like I needed to put on some makeup. So, yeah. I'll post some of the pictures and you can see Makeup Ray. It's been probably 15 years since the last time I did my own makeup. Outside of yesterday. I'm not amazingly good at it, and I don't do it a lot. It's just not something I was ever interested in. Do not do store leaks. Do not store leaks in your roof. They might be much better in food, right? Leeks. I've never actually eaten a leek. I imagine that it's kind of like asparagus or maybe like an onion. I don't know. Like the only time I've ever really seen leaks is like in the early internet days. There was this anime girl that would spin a leak, and there was just like some song, and it was like leakspin.com or something like that. Me either. Yeah, I've never had them. You guys will have to let me know if they're any good, if you've had leaks. Let's do another heat. Going a little bit on the cooler side, so I need to make sure that I'm a little bit, or that I wait a little bit longer before I pull things out so that I can get enough heat to move the material properly. Leeks are good food, like onions, but without the strong taste. A good solid base for a dish. Well, that's good to know. It's definitely not something that I, look for in the grocery store. We do occasionally eat like scallions, but I feel like scallions would be similar, but not quite the same. So I don't know. Maybe try some leeks someday. All right, I'm gonna take this off. It's getting a little warm in here. So yeah, very nice. Might stick it back on later on if I get a little cooler. And we are also repping the Boy Scouts. This is a really old shirt. I guess it's from 2006. That was a long time ago. Like 9 years ago. Goodness gracious. So you're already cool. Yeah. So my ex-boyfriend, who is the one that got me involved in blacksmithing, was a big a big Boy Scout. Like he was an Eagle Scout, and he brought, or like his interest in blacksmithing came because the Boy Scouts actually have a blacksmithing like merit badge, and so when he got the badge, he brought blacksmithing to his local troop, and the local troop actually had a Boy Scout camp, so Camp Loud Thunder. So he and his dad established the blacksmithing merit badge at Camp Loud Thunder, and so throughout the years I've demoed there a few times, and helped with the merit badge. So that's always been something that I'm really excited about. Legacy and all that. I've tried to keep it alive because that ex-boyfriend is no longer with us. So I try very hard to make sure that I am active and try to help out whenever I can with the Boy Scouts. So yeah, let's do another heat. Girl Scouts, that makes sense. See, I never did anything with the Girl Scouts. Except for eat their cookies. Yes. Who doesn't like Girl Scout cookies? I feel like I'm jealous of the Girl Scouts, right? Because the Boy Scouts, their fundraiser, like food that they sell, is popcorn. And while popcorn is good, I feel like cookies are a little bit better, you know? Not everyone likes savory treats, but most people like sweet treats. So we have an ad incoming in about 3 minutes. We should be able to get at least one more heat in before that ad starts. So yeah, hoping that I can get it all taken care of. We are going to be, I think one more heat of forging down the central spike, and from there I'm going to flatten it out and then start rounding it out so that it'll fit in our Pridgel. I think this heat will probably be on the horn of the anvil, though. I might be able to get it a little bit further forged down there. Or maybe not, I don't know. All right, back in the heat. For our next heat, I'm going to round everything out, make sure I take out as many lumps and bumps as possible, and hopefully I'll be done at that point. Hopefully. If not, I might get out the angle grinder. The angle grinder is pretty good about taking out lumps and bumps and making sure that I get anything that is hung up on the sides and I get it into where I want it. So let's see, what else has been going on? I don't know. Aside from being super, super busy, you know, that's about all I'm able to manage these days. It's just being busy. I've got a few more things that I am in the process of editing. Like I said, I have to edit all those photos and put them all together into like a little package. And I am in the process of continuing to edit the footage that we got of Quad State. So there are a few more videos that I will be posting about Quad State. The next one, I had the opportunity to talk to Brian and Ed Brazil from the Brazil method of hammer making and tool making. So I got to interview them on like kind of a little bit of their history and how they really got into tool making and blacksmithing in general. They actually started as farriers, which is very interesting. Farriers are incredibly efficient, and I mean, a lot of their methods can be transferred over to blacksmithing, but you know, it's very different. It's a different way to think about things. So I was super excited to be able to get to talk to them. So I am currently editing that video, and then after that, we'll start editing our grill tong or our grill set videos. So it looks like the ad has started. So I guess I'm just gonna hang out for a little bit. We're growing pretty good on TikTok. We just crossed 600 followers over there, which is pretty cool. I think I need 1,000 followers before we can go live on TikTok, but I would love to simul stream here on Twitch and then also on TikTok. So I think that it should be pretty decent. I want to try that once I get or once I hit that 1,000 follower threshold. And more of a behind the scenes thing, I'm gonna set up just my phone to do a live as opposed to setting it up with our OBS. So hopefully that'll work out for us. We'll kind of experiment and see how well it goes. I think if I end up liking streaming, maybe I will tie it into our OBS, because then I would be able to read comments and things like that. And it would be nice to be able to respond to everybody and not just, the people on Twitch if we are going to be simul streaming. So we will experiment. We shall have to see how well that does. My priority is you guys here on my Twitch audience for the moment. But if we can add some more, some more viewers from our TikTok, that would be great too, I think. Alrighty, looks like the ad is over, so I'm going to do another heat. I'm going to take some of these corners off. Take another heat. Let's see how far we can get it down in there. Still have a little bit of trouble with a couple of these areas. But we're gonna get some more heat. Getting bots in the chat, it looks like. That's all right. We got rid of them. We kicked them to the curb. We don't need bots. Yankee, thank you so much for your raid. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. We heard someone was causing trouble. I'm always causing trouble. Always, always. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Today we are finishing off our hold down, and then we will be continuing to work on our axe. So we will be making an axe. I drilled a hole all the way through our axe head this morning, and I'm hoping that this pilot hole will make it a lot easier for us to drive the drift through here, but I still need the hold down in order to hold it so it doesn't slide off of the anvil as I'm trying to drive this in there. So I want to stretch the hole. We'll see how well that goes if I can get this stupid hold down done. So welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for joining me today. What have you guys been doing? Gardening, making progress on some of the axes, or are we just chatting? Welcome. Whoa. As I get hung up on the horn of the anvil, I do that way too often. All right, let's do another heat so I can show you guys what I'm up to. So I'm trying to round out this little area here so that it'll fit in the round hole without getting hung up on the anvil. Once I get this thing to go all the way down in there, we're going to bend it over so that it becomes like a third arm or a third hand that holds things in place for me. So let's test it out. How far down can we get it? We're getting further, but stuff's getting hung up still. Might be because it's bent a little. Might be because there's little lumps and bumps. Let's see. Ooh, look at that. We're going all the way down in there. That's pretty much what I want to see. So I think we've got a decent amount down there. So I think we're just going to bend this over and call it a day on this guy. See if I can't get it out of here. That'd be awesome. There it goes. And I'm going to turn this over and put it back in the fire. Now I think I missed what you guys said that Yankee was up to. So let me check that real fast. Corwin got to meet the first and only Iowan to win Forged in Fire over the weekend with some other bladesmiths. That is awesome. There are some great smiths, bladesmiths, and blacksmiths who have been on Forged in Fire. I know a couple of them myself. Dr. Optimal says, almost got that square peg in that round hole. Yay! How are things? I did get the square peg in the round hole. I'm super excited about that. I'm doing actually pretty well. I'm doing so well. XX Catastrophe XX followed. Thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Thank you so much. Like I said, we are working on this hold down, which the design is kind of this thing here. It's basically a little like stake that you can kind of put inside the hole, and it will hold down objects on the anvil. So we are making it so that we can hold down this block of steel that we're going to turn into an axe. We've got a hole already in it, and we're going to shove this axe drift through there. And this is a teardrop shaped drift. Thank you so much, Ping. Thank you so much for the re-up on that subscription. Thank you for the continued support. So we are going to try and stick this drift through this tiny hole. Now this is kind of a pilot hole that I drilled in here. I wanted it to be significantly smaller than this drift so that when we hammer this through here, it stretches that hole, and eventually we end up moving the material as opposed to losing more material. So I want the end hole to be the profile of this drift, and so hopefully it'll work out for us. And then we can start working on the axe blade. That's the funnest part. That's what makes an axe, right? Working on the blade and turning it into, from a brick of steel into the wedged out, rounded form for an axe. This axe blank is about 5-ish pounds, maybe a little bit over that. And so it's going to be a splitter axe. Definitely a two-hander. Definitely. 729 Barretts, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. We have fun here. I hope we have fun here anyway. I try very hard to make it very entertaining for you guys. All right, so let's see if we can't bend this over and make sure that it works for holding things down. It might be a little on the shorter side. I don't know yet. We shall see how well this goes. Let's see. I want to put this guy in here. Oh, come on. You were just in there. You were just in there. I don't understand. Maybe I bent it. I don't know. That's what happens when you get a little bit too close out. A little bit too close. Let's not drop things and burn ourselves anymore. I think we're done with that for the day. See about straightening this out. I think that was our problem. That's why we couldn't get it in there, is that it was bent. See, there we go. It's all nice and in there now. Let's see. We'll have to turn it around a little bit so that we can get them in there and stuff. Maybe? There it goes. New plan. Let's cool down that end so that we don't burn ourselves anymore. Not too bad though. If the butler shows up randomly in a stream jacket this winter, Ray probably made him chop firewood, right? It's a combination lock. I mean, it is definitely a combination lock. I have to spin it around a little bit. I think what we're gonna do eventually is we're probably going to grind the end around it so that it makes it a lot easier to get in and out of that hole. Because it's not going to be as useful if I'm sitting here struggling with it to get it in and out of the hole. We're going to end up losing way too much of our heat on the axe if it takes 5 minutes to get it in and out, Die Still Von Dempton, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream, welcome to the community. Hey Christy, welcome. Did it bite me bad? I mean, you can kind of see that there's a little bit of skin just like flap that's up there. I got myself twice, but I'm only going to count that as one strike, guys. Even though it happened, twice, I'm going to count it as one strike because it was in one heat, right? Because really, it's because I don't want to end the stream this early, I still have one strike regardless. It's not too bad though. I get worse bites than that, from scale popping up. So I'm not worried about it. It's one of those things, I always say that you are going to get burned, you are going to get cut. And when you're blacksmithing, it's just inevitable. So it wasn't too bad. Also, it helps when, I burn myself on my hands so frequently that I barely have nerves that feel heat anymore. So, take that as you will. It could be good, it could be bad. Alrighty. Let's see if we can't bend this a little bit. Good thing about winter, there's less skin for the forge scale to bite. Exactly. That is the good part about winter time. So we are currently bending this over. We're eventually probably going to bend it all the way over so that we can have this kind of like looping up in it so that it'll hold the piece a little bit easier. But it's going to take us a little bit of time. The forge isn't quite as hot as I want it to be right now. But we're going to do our best. We can get it in there a little bit easier now anyway. All right. I feel like the camera and the anvil have moved a little bit from Friday, and that's partially because I had to move all of my streaming setup over that direction because that way the butler could get behind or like all around over that direction, and so that he could get my modeling shots this weekend. So I feel like my setup isn't quite as like it's not as quite as the way it normally is. I also feel like the set is a little bit dark, and it might be because we used the normal light that I use as a secondary fill light as opposed to a main light. Modeling, yes. So as I was talking earlier today, I actually got sent 2 lovely flannels to sponsor. They're sponsoring me, and they sent me 2 flannels. Flannel Go. They are a flannel company, so they do clothing. They do men's, women's, children's, and accessory flannels that you can purchase on their website, flannelgo.com. And so they sent me a couple of their jackets and asked me to model them, take some photos. So we took quite a few photos. I think we did about 7 or 8 poses for each of them. So I get to pick 5 for each of the flannels, and you guys get to see them. I got to edit them though first. Need those stage marks like they have actors for the camera and anvil. I used to have those. in here, but I moved my camera or my close-up camera so frequently. Speaking of, I need to do that again. That it just doesn't quite, work as well as I want it to. So I'm moving the close-up cam real fast. Since you guys got me remembering and thinking about it, thank you for the reminder. I greatly appreciate that. You should take the new ones with your axe when it's finished. I mean, yeah, I should take new ones. I don't know. If they like what they see, if they like what I send them, they did talk about a partnership where I get like a TikTok shop link and I can sell them on my TikTok. They also, I mean, maybe they'll give me some more to model. I don't know. We sell flannels and flannel accessories. I tell you what, yes, exactly. All the King of the Hill puns and jokes. But yeah, I am super excited. It is my very first sponsorship, and I mean, like free stuff. I'm all for free stuff, There is, there are limits to what I'll do for free stuff, but I will take pictures wearing free stuff. I'm not above that. I'll model for people. I will also play with tools, I love doing like reviews and unboxings and things like that. So, if you are watching and you have a company, and need a spokesperson, let me know. Ray has a new profile pic with her flannel sponsor and her forged axes. Maybe. All right, let's do another heat. So we can get to that axe. Let me grab another. Well, that's not working the way I wanted to. Now is it? There it goes. All right. Looks like it'll hold in there pretty well. But I need it to go this direction. Oh, come on, get out. There it goes. All right, I am going to heat up this area, like the hold down area right here, so that we can kind of flatten it out. It's a little bit crooked. If you look down it, it's pretty crooked. And then we'll see if it works. See if I can even get it in here. In the forge, at least. Will this work? Nah, I'm gonna have to put it in that way. That's about as good as it gets, I think. Metal! Good progress! Thank you so much. I even have a tagline: forge ahead this winter with warm flannel. You can axe the prices with my coupon code. Ooh. Maybe I should hire you, Dr. Optimal, to help me out with my advertisements and my sponsorships. Not the upset. Thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Welcome, welcome. And then I think I missed 42 Trunning Some Pun. Thank you for that follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. I hope you're bringing lots of puns because I love my puns. I love talking about, or telling jokes and doing puns for when I have to upset material. You can totally have that. Yes. I don't know. I don't have much of a budget to pay you, but if you're interested, Let's see about moving this around this direction, maybe. My metal's not getting as hot as I need it to. Get in there. That's better. Maybe, I hope, I think. There we go. Once we're done with this piece here, we should be able to, we might actually have to change the propane tanks. I'm not entirely sure yet. We also do have about a minute or 2 minutes until our next ad break. So I will probably be waiting until the ad is over in order to, or before I do our next heat on the steel. And that is because I don't want to start it and be halfway through my heat when the ad starts. I want you guys all to be able to see everything. All right, so I need this part right here. So the whole point of making that tool is so that it holds this guy in place, so that I can take this tool and hammer it through without it falling on the floor. That's the goal. We'll see how well I can do. This stream is propane. I hope it's not propane. I mean, it's supposed to be anti-pain, right? Unless you're talking propane like, propane gas, but it's a little bit of both, right? So yes, I love puns. I love dad jokes. Any corny humor, that's my favorite. I love that kind of stuff. Upsetting is the process, or that's what it's called when you are hammering back or material back in on itself, right? So it's called drawing out or tapering when you are hammering material with the intention of making it longer and thinner. When you are hammering a piece of steel with the intention of making it shorter and fatter, that is called upsetting. And I feel like that's a fun pun, and I feel like I need to upset my steel with dad jokes and puns. Because they're always upsetting, right? All the metal. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I can get this hold down to work properly. Once this ad is over, I feel like I'm kind of trapped here. Oh, the ad started, so I guess I mean I do kind of feel a little bit trapped still because the ad is now in progress. But I always feel really trapped when I know that an ad is coming, but I'm not sure when it's going to be coming, because then it's like, I can't talk about anything that's like super, super important, and I just end up talking a stream of consciousness, and It's hard to come up with new topics when I'm almost to an ad, I think. I will see if we can't finish our hold down here once this ad break is over. And then we'll start working on our axe. Looks like we have been forging for about an hour, which is about where I predicted we would end up switching projects. I'm debating whether I want to start heating our axe. That's probably actually a good idea, is to start heating our axe. But we might need it, so I don't know. It's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. I'm cursing a lot today. I apologize. I try very hard not to curse on stream, but I have said at least 3 curse words today. All right. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put those there. After this heat, we're going to put this in the fire to heat it up. And let's see about straightening things up a little bit and also making sure that everything is going to work. Making sure things are going to work. Okay. There it goes. That should work pretty well as a hold down. Okay. Now I'm gonna put our material for the axe in the fire, I think, maybe. And I'm gonna quench off the other. Don't bother me none. For the dirty language, you're getting coal for Christmas. Hey, don't threaten me with a good time. People always ask me nowadays what I want for Christmas, and I say coal. I always say coal. Because, you know, coal's good. For a blacksmith. I gotta be naughty, right? Okay. So in the fire we go with that one. It looks like our pressure is a little bit low. So once I put this in the quench bucket, what we're going to do is we are going to change the propane. Alrighty. Still warm, but it's cooling down. That should work all right as a hold down. There we go. Hopefully it works all right. Okay. Now let's change the propane. Because, yeah, it's getting a lot low, or like it's getting really low. So as I said earlier in the stream, we do not have a propane sponsor for this week, or like a outside propane sponsor. So today's and this week's propane sponsor is The Butler, who is my amazing partner, who is the biggest enabler for my blacksmithing. He tolerates it. He encourages it. It is amazing. Thank you so much, Butler. Let's change this propane. Move this guy over so I can get the old propane out. And the new propane in. Alright, that one is for the mailbox. This one's for the big forge. Okay. Okay. I saw something great today. A motorcycle cop stopped a person on a kick e-scooter because it's a legal requirement to wear a helmet. Well, I hope that he eventually got a helmet, because helmets are good. Where's that? Yeah, you'll have to tell us where you saw that. You know what? I think I'm gonna change tongs. I have a really good set for this job in these right here. I'm flipping this around because I want the area that I have the hole in here to be closer to the burner. There we go. Close to the meat pack in Copenhagen. Interesting. I have never been to Copenhagen, but I've never really left North America. I wish it was required here. My daughter got a head concussion from a scooter accident earlier this summer where nobody was wearing helmets. Dating from 1883. What kind of meat do they pack there? I bet you they probably, like a lot of meat packing places in the United States, like they are meat processing plants, but or like districts, but they no longer process meat. A lot of them end up being like art districts. There are a lot of meat processing plants that become art districts here in the U.S. So yeah, you should always wear helmets when you are scootering or biking or, rollerblading or roller skating, I guess. Roller skating and rollerblading are very similar sports. At least I think of them very similarly because I always ended up rollerblading at the roller skating rink because I had my very own set of rollerblades when I was a kid. That was back in the 90s when rollerblading was initially popular. I feel like it's not nearly as popular now than it was then. Yes, that fire is nice and hot. We are getting much higher heat for our axe head. So right now we are going to be starting to work on our axe head. We are starting by drifting the hole for the handle. Every axe needs a handle, and so you have to have a hole so that handle goes inside of it. So this is an axe drift. It has a tear-shaped profile. So basically, I'm going to be driving this into a hole that I drilled into the steel as a pilot. And I'm hoping that by drilling a smaller pilot hole, I can stretch that hole into the shape of this drift. And then we can get a axe handle shaped hole in there. Unfortunately, where I live, they've closed like all the skating places. Have they? That's sad. Skating is actually really fun. I know that a lot of places, kids will actually skate outside, like on sidewalks and things like that. There's a lot of like strip malls in the United States, and where they have signs that they put up and said no skate or no rollerblading and no skateboarding. And so then the kids don't really have any place to go to do that. And it's kind of disappointing, you know? But then in our area, we actually have a skate park less than a mile from here. So there's a park, and they have like ramps and things and like railings that the kids can do their rollerblading and skateboarding at. The Danish Transport Agency's evaluations have shown that there is 7 times higher risk of accidents on motorized scooters. I'll bet. I mean, motor scooters are really small, and I don't feel like people are looking for them, like the people in the cars. And the scooters, because they have such small wheels, you know, they don't go over bumps in sidewalks as well as like you know, a bicycle or something with bigger wheels. So I imagine that they would, you know, be more likely to cause an accident. Corwin says we have a skate park here too. There are a lot of skate parks that got built in the late 90s, early 2000s, I feel like, because people were really trying to find a place for the kids to do their skating in a constructive area so that they're not, you know, running into pedestrians. Because that would often happen when I was a kid. $220 fine. Ouch. That is a really hefty fine. I mean, yeah. Probably get a couple of weeks of groceries with that. To ride without a helmet. That's what I imagined that it was. To ride without a helmet. I don't know why I keep getting this all nice and hung up in here. In and out. I want it to be good and like easy to get it in and out. It might also be that my Pritchell hole isn't the most smooth, so it might actually be getting hung up on the Pritchell hole. Ours was named after a kid who was killed in a skateboard accident, I think. And that's a good memorial, you know? A way to kind of prevent that from happening again, but also like something that the kid really enjoyed. Ooh, we're getting some real nice hot metal in there. I'm super excited. All right. Let me make sure that I've got enough footage over there before, you know, I start the next piece. So I am going to start working on the axe now. What I'm gonna, or like I said, I'm going to try and drive this drift through the pilot hole that I have created. So let's try and do that. Let's see how well this works. This is my first time using this hold down, and we might have a few problems here. So it might be a little slow going at first. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, we'll put this here. No, like this. I want to put this like this. Then we'll take this like so. Stick it in there. All right, so I want the wide section to be along the outside, and the inside I want to be the skinnier side. This hold down's working really well. I'm actually really happy with that. I mean, we're moving, but not too bad. All right. I'm gonna cool down this punch a little bit, and then we are going to put this back in the heat. So we've made a little bit of progress, but we're not really stretching the hole like I had wanted to. I don't know if you guys can see that real well, but we're kind of driving it down in there. It's not driving it through as much space, so it's going a little bit further than I had anticipated, or than if I had not drilled the hole. But we shall see how well it goes, how quickly I can get this done. I want to turn this over, put this in the forge so that the area with the hole is the hottest. That's the goal. Or I could drop it. That works too. All right. I have suggested to someone who ride a kick e-scooter to wear a helmet or a bicycle helmet. I recommended upgrading to a motorcycle helmet. And it works. It does work. I'm super excited about that. I was hoping it would work, but I wasn't 100% sure that it would. But it's not moving, or like it's keeping the block of steel from moving back and forth on the anvil while I'm using the drift. So I'm super excited. I switched to a pilot helmet. It gives more visibility when I'm riding my 50cc scooter. Does it? I was on Facebook the other day, and I was looking at a couple posts, and there was a Ask Me Anything from a paramedic, and this paramedic said that you should wear a full face, like a full visor helmet for like a motorcycle, because the brain buckets is what they call the ones, or like in slang here in the US, the ones that are only like this. They only cover like your brain pan. They're like, or the paramedic was like, they work exactly as advertised. They only protect the top of your head. So having a full helmet is, recommended, at least for motorcycles. So yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with this hold down. It's not the prettiest thing I've ever made, but I mean, I don't think it would take too much effort to kind of grind it so that it looks prettier. But really, it's all about making sure that it functions. This is a function tool, less of a fashion tool, I guess. Dentists love half helmets. Job security. Oh, my scooter can do 19 miles per hour max. Well, that's not a lot. I kind of, or like, yeah, at that speed, you probably wouldn't have to worry as long as, you know, it's not a car going full speed at you. As long as you stay in your area, you know, you should be good at 19 miles an hour. That's not too bad. You can probably catch yourself at that point. My water is empty. I need to start refilling my jerry can. I've seen people racing on bikes overtake me. They're wearing regular bicycle helmets. I mean, that makes sense, you know. Bicycles can go really, really fast. Especially if you're racing, like if you're a racer. I'm gonna go grab a Gatorade real fast and I will be right back. And then we will do another heat driving this drift through. Hopefully it doesn't take nearly as long as the last time I did a drift piece. The last time it took like a week and a half to drive it through. So I did this pilot hole in hopes that we could just stretch the material. Red Gatorade today. I'm gonna say it's my favorite, but red Gatorade really is, like Gatorade just isn't really my favorite. If I have to drink Gatorade though, red is my favorite. All right, let's do another heat. All right, so we're gonna move that right there and that right there. Material goes right here. Hammer once. Make sure that I've got the wide side on the outside. Got to keep this drift cool so that we're not taking the temper off too quickly. Looks like we're making some progress. You can kind of see it happening there. So back in the heat we go. Ah! Or I could drop it. That works too. I need like a million tongs for this process, I feel like. Jeez Louise. There we go. Professionals in the Tour de France, the average speed of the winner of the tour is typically 24 miles per hour. That is pretty darn fast for a bicycle. But yes, I'm trying very hard not to drop my my piece of steel. And that's totally why we made this guy, so that we definitely don't drop it while I'm in the process of making it. Get out of my head. Hot potato, hot potato. Whoop. As I drop my Gatorade. trying to clean my area a little bit as I go. So we'll put some extra tongs that we don't need away. Look at this. My Gatorade, like, label just fell off. That's not a strike. That's not a strike because I didn't injure myself. I suppose I should probably, you know, bend to you guys to tell me what's a strike and what's not a strike. I think I'm a little bit less, or I'm a little bit more lenient on what I consider a strike and what I don't consider a strike. If it's spilled, that'd be half a strike. Exactly. If it had spilled, then I would have to stop working to clean it up, and that would be very disruptive. Very disruptive. So I think that the drift is working pretty darn well. I think that the hold down is working excellently, exactly the way I want it to. I do think, though, that it's only like that I need to move it down further on the anvil in the future, because at this height I'm not going to be able to use my standard stock sizes with it. I definitely need to move it down a little bit further, except when it's towards somebody else. I mean, if I do something towards someone else, then that's like a strike and a half, because that's super dangerous, you know? I definitely do not want to injure someone else while I'm blacksmithing. But typically I'm here by myself. I have a cat in the house, and occasionally the butler is in the house, but right now the butler's at work, so. Ooh, did I tell you guys that, like, I think on, not Friday as in like a couple days ago, but a week from that, when we were out doing the coal forge, I think I told you guys that the butler has 6 Emmys. Well, I can no longer say that the butler has 6 Emmys, because the butler won another Emmy on Saturday. So we didn't actually go to the ceremony or anything, but the butler won another Emmy. So yay! It's always fun winning Emmys. Feels amazing, man. Yeah. So the butler works at the local news station in the commercial department and promotions for the station. And so anytime there's like a commercial for the station or like a local business, the butler has a hand in that. And there is a Midwestern Emmys. And that is a division of like the real Emmys, but it's like a different division. And so local stations can compete for an Emmy. And this year, the butler won 1. The butler is my partner in crime and all of the fun things in life. But they don't really want to be identified, so because, you know, of their job and several other things. So we call the butler the butler. Because we got tired of calling him my partner. He. Yeah. Okay, so we have an ad coming in about 2 minutes, so I think I'm going to do one more heat before we finish here. Alright. Whoops. I did not set up my anvil very well this time. Here it is, this direction. We're making some progress. Put this back in the fire. You can kind of see the progress that we're making. Oops, I need to turn this around. Go from the other side. The butler makes an appearance on the Quad State stream, kind of like Wilson from Home Improvement. Yes, the butler does make an appearance during the Quad State stream, where they show me up by being able to crack a whip when I couldn't get it to work. I told them later on that I was going to have to learn how to make whips so that I could learn to crack them. And I was just like, you know, I'm determined. If you can learn it, so can I. And the butler's like, because you really have time to learn how to make a whip. And I was like, you're right. I don't. Now do I? I feel like I'm one of those people who like rotates hobbies. And because I turned this hobby into a job, I kind of have to, you know, settle down on the hobby roulette. Why do you say they? Just because. Because originally, the butler didn't want to be like identified at all. So it was, I was asked to use they, and then I couldn't anymore because I just, when I get tired, I kind of like, I get a little bit more, I start identifying them in different ways. So like, there are times where I will accidentally identify the butler as their gamer tag or like other things too. I try to be very careful and respect their wishes, but you know, sometimes I slip up. So yeah, let's see. What else do I have that's going on? I don't know. It looks like it's kind of dark outside, so maybe it's going to start raining. Like I said earlier today, we worked a little bit on some roofing issues that we had. So we've had some leaks in this one area. There is like a whirligig that like ventilates the attic, and so when it rains, it had started leaking in. So we sealed the base of it, and we are hoping that that was the issue, because when we had a roofer look at it, they said that it might be from a gap in the base, or it could also be coming in through the whirligig itself. So I'm kind of wondering if it's going to work. I hope, because I'm getting tired of looking at the wet ceiling in my living room. So hopefully it got fixed. Because when we got a quote for how much it would cost to replace the roof, it was going to be $25,000, and that is quite a lot of money. And the insurance company isn't going to cover it right now. So I got to make some more blacksmith things so that we can afford to replace the roof someday. All right, I'm going to change the camera view. Holy moly, that's a chunk of change. I know, right? But it's like, I feel like workmen around my area won't come out to the house at all for less than $1,000 anymore. I mean, it used to be you could get somebody out for like, $200 to $500 to look at something, maybe do a minor fix, but it's taking, or like people are asking for $1,000 to come and relight your pilot light. It's ridiculous. Inflation, man, inflation. All right. Let's do another heat. If I can fix something myself, I will. But, there are a lot of things that I'm just not as familiar with. Like, I'm not a big construction person. If I got to fix electrical or plumbing, oftentimes I can do that kind of stuff myself, but I definitely cannot do... I'm awful at woodworking. Like, I am awful at woodworking. Let's do this side. You know what I totally told you guys I was going to use, and I totally forgot to use it? Lube. I forgot to lubricate my drift. All right. Put this back in the fire. My favorite contractors that say, don't worry, we'll handle the bill with the insurance for you. In the meantime, your premiums double. I know, right? All right, I'm going to grab a little bit of coked coal. And we are going to turn it into some dust to lubricate our, give me 1 second, to lubricate our punch so it doesn't get stuck in there like it did when we were doing our hammer. This should work pretty well. This guy right here, it is a nice little glass jar. It should work pretty well for what we're trying to do. So we'll put that over there. We'll hammer up a little bit of this. wish I had a mortar and pestle. That would make things easier. Okay. All right. This little glass thing is from some yogurt that we ate the other day. We like to eat Greek yogurt. Pretty darn good. I can't remember what this one is. I think it's like a little ennui or something like that. Okay. Nerd Rage, thank you so much for that subscription. Thank you so much for your support. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. You can forge one with a chunk of mild steel and a trailer ball or a big ball peen hammer. Forge one what? Oh, a mortar and a pestle. Yeah, I could. Yay! Halfway to our sub goal. Yay, subs! Thank you guys so much for your support of the stream. It means so much to me that you guys enjoy looking or watching my content, and it keeps me going. It keeps me going. We are almost at a whole year of streaming here on Twitch, and that is absolutely crazy for me. So crazy. My coffee scoop swage is essentially a steel mortar and pestle. Yeah, it definitely is. They're out there, you know. It's pretty easy to make them, and we have a really good mortar and pestle in the house, but I would not bring it out here because it's for like food and stuff like that. So I need one for out here maybe if I'm going to be making a lot of coal dust for lubrication. But yeah. Oh wow. Cheer 500. Oinkle dude, thank you so much for that support, for your support. Thank you so much for those bits. Wow. We are in a hype train. We don't get those that often, but I feel like we're getting more and more hype trains lately. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much. Not shabby. Hello, welcome to the stream. We have finally gotten back into the point where we are able to work on our axe head. So right now I have drilled a pilot hole into the piece of stock that we're going to turn into a axe. And what I want to do is take this drift, and you can see that we've already started from, you know, the little tempering that's on the tip. We are starting to drive this drift through the hole to kind of expand it and make it a little bit wider so that we can get a axe handle in it. Once we're done with that, we're going to start shaping the wedge and, you know, the blade of that axe. I want to make a really good chopper, a pretty heavy one. Nice hefty, but not a garbage bag. All right, let's do another heat. So amazing. You guys are so supportive. I'm so happy. You guys make me so happy. I love coming out here to stream for you guys. It's so much fun. Yeah! And I love dropping things, apparently. Woo! Look at that flame. Oh, come on. Move forward on there. Poof. Goodness gracious. I made this hold down specifically so I wouldn't have to deal with this. But I'm dropping it before I'm even getting it on or getting the hold down on it. Crazy. All right, cool. We're good to go. Let's put a little bit of dust to lube it. Make sure it doesn't get stuck. It's working a little bit. I think part of my problem is that the lube is going all the way through the hole that I drove in there. But it's working relatively well. A little bit longer. I should have done that a lot quicker. Making sure that I actually put the wide side at the end. So we're making some progress. You can kind of see where that drift is going through there. It's stretching it a little bit. I'm going to flip this guy so we can start working on that side. You can kind of see that this is kind of longer on that side than that side, so that's why the hole is a little bit wonky looking. But I wanted to make it nice and straight through, and so I used a drill press to drill that pilot hole. I fired up the forge over the weekend and did a couple live streams on YouTube. I saw that you had posted about that on my, I think you messaged me on my Facebook, but I didn't get it until way, way later on. So I figured at that point, it was almost like, what time was it? It was probably almost 10 p.m. when I got it. So I had thought that maybe you would be done. So I need to catch you. Do you have a, did you save a VOD for it, or what is your YouTube handle? YouTube usually automatically saves them. I would love to watch it. You'll have to let me know about YouTube streaming too. I haven't actually used the live streaming section of YouTube. I know that I could, there are a couple plugins that I could simul-stream. I'll send my YouTube ID later. Cool. All right. Like I said, I would love to see it. I'm always looking for new people streaming blacksmithing content because I like to see what you guys are doing, share what I'm doing, and, point people in your direction. So, I want to make sure you get lots of views. That's kind of what I feel like my job is. My job is to kind of give you guys a taste of blacksmithing and then point you into the direction of some people that can help you get started if you'd like to. Or I might try to here, Twitch through OBS. Yeah, OBS actually through Twitch works pretty well after you work through all of the hiccups. I won't lie, there are a lot of times there are a bunch of hiccups that I encounter. There's a couple, it's not amazingly user friendly, but it is incredibly open source, so you can make it do just about anything that you want. My favorite YouTube streamer is the Rivers Experience. He live streams on Saturdays making knives. Ooh. That's cool. You should send a link into the Discord so we can all enjoy. But yeah, I have a Discord, and the link should be here on the channel page. And I try to post any good content that I find, any cheap pieces of equipment. We also have an entire channel dedicated to dad jokes and puns. That's, a really amazing resource, especially, in these days. But yeah, post links to that stuff in the Discord. I would love to, watch people streaming. Enjoy other people's content. Blacksmithing is such a collaborative medium. I want to make sure that everybody gets views and stuff. Other people's success is not my failure. It's my success too. All right. Let's see if I can not drop the piece this time. What do you guys think? Is it gonna happen? Let me move the camera though first, actually. I want to move it over here. There we go. There we go. Hopefully you can't see that in that one. Nope, you can't. So we're good. Okay, let's do this. What do you guys think? Am I gonna drop it? I think I might drop it. Oh, looky, looky. Are we doing it? I think we're doing it. Hex yes. Oh. Trying to keep us going on both sides. If I can manage it. So the drift meets in the middle. All right, let's get some more heat in here. Hey, that was actually a pretty decent go at it. I didn't even drop it. I didn't even drop it. I'm pretty proud of that. I am pretty proud. So if you combine the distance that we have already driven the drift on both sides, we're probably about a third of the way through. So that's not bad. We've only been doing this for about half of the stream, and I thought that it was going to take at least a full stream to get this all the way through. So I am super excited about that. I'm super happy and excited to be able to, continue working on this process. I'm not entirely sure how much longer that this axe is going to take because, like I said, I've sped up the process by drilling myself a pilot hole. So hopefully, we can do it a little bit faster than the 3 weeks that I was originally anticipating. So this is the start of week 2. It may take us the whole 2 weeks. I'm not entirely sure. So I feel like it's relatively unpredictable. I guess it is predictable, but I've never done it before, so we'll see. We'll see how long it takes. So we have an ad coming up in about 2.5 minutes-ish, somewhere in there. So I think I'm gonna let it cook until the ad is over this time. Just that way we can have a little bit of heat. Pilot holes are boring. They are. They're totally boring. I'll tell you what. So like I said, I drilled a pilot hole because I knew that I was going to have to drift this by hand. The drift is too long to use the press. So I knew that it was going to take me forever because I am kind of slow because I don't want to hammer my thumb. Hammering my thumb does not sound pleasant, and so I feel like I'm a little bit on the careful side when it comes to using tooling. So we decided to drill the pilot hole, make a shorter one. I mean, I definitely could, and maybe someday I will. But I wanted to get this project done first. So I definitely will be making some drifts and some punches for the press. But I wanted to do a hand piece first, I think. Gotta make tools to make tools to make tools. It's on the list, but there's a lot of stuff on the list. Not bad, not bad. Let's see. What else are we working on? Our next project, like I said, I have said before, I guess, in our next project in the queue right now is going to be we're going to take a piece of this bar right here, which is a bar of A2, and we are going to turn it into a raising stake. And that it's basically a shaped horn specifically to use for creating bowls and vessels out of semi-precious as well as steel sheets. So we're taking a round sheet and we're going to round it out into a vessel shape. And then after that, we are going to be taking a piece of 4140 and we are going to be turning it into a raising hammer. I want to create all of the tools to make a bowl. And then once we make the tools, we're going to make some vessels. But I think those vessels are actually going to be a couple pieces of armor. I'm debating what kind of armor I want to do. So it looks like we are in the middle of an ad break. Why can't you use oil to harden steel and not just water? Or why can you use oil to harden steel and not just water? So, once this ad is over, I will answer that question. Because that's a pretty decent question. So I think I have about 10 seconds left in the ad break. So yeah. Whoops. Okay, looks like the ad is done. All right, so Bubba says, why can you use oil to harden steel and not just water? All right, so there are different alloys of steel that have different amounts of other things in with the iron, right? So oftentimes carbon is one of the main and defining elements that is added into iron to create steel. The more carbon you add to a piece of steel, the harder it can become, right? But that also changes the properties, right? So if I take a piece of mild steel, say like this guy right here, and I heat it up, I can put it into regular water and quench it, cool it off instantaneously, and that's not going to harm the steel at all, right? The crystalline structure is going to solidify. It's going to be nice and, I guess not nice and hard because a mild steel is really soft, but it's going to be about as hard as you're going to get unless you're case hardening it. Now, this right here is a piece of 4140. This is a mid-carbon steel, but it is also considered to be a tool steel. This hardens a lot more than your mild low-carbon steel. However, adding the carbon in this it changes the properties of the steel to the point where if I were to heat this guy up and then quench it in water, it will shatter. You need time to cool off this piece of steel. So instead of water, I'm going to quench it in oil. So the oil will actually burn around the piece or around the drift, and it will cool it a little bit slower than water. So the extra heat that is transferred into the oil, it will cool it down a little bit slower. Now this steel right here, this is A2, and this is an air quench tool steel. If I heat it and I quench it in water, it will shatter. If I heat it and quench it in oil, it will also shatter. It needs a really long time to harden. So, yeah. 4140 also has chromium and molybdenum, which makes it need oil hardening. 1045 is similar, but water hardening. Yes, very much so, Corwin. So when you are looking at a specific type of steel, you want to read up on its properties so that you can make sure that you are treating it in the direction or the way that the directions tell you, I guess. You can actually look up the metallurgical sheets on most material or most steel materials. A few, they don't have those available to the public, but those are usually proprietary alloys. But yeah, you can look up all the different normal blacksmithing steels on the internet, and it'll tell you whether it's oil, air, or water quenching, what temperature is needed for hardening, what temperature is needed for annealing, what temperature is needed for tempering. Now, I had another thing about this, and I've lost it. Oh, I was going to say, if you are working with unknown material, like you just don't know what the alloy is, usually it is best practice to heat up a small piece of it and quench it in oil. If it cracks, then it's air quenching. So you'll want to air quench the rest of your steel. If it does not harden, it will be water quenching, and if it normally it is hardenable within the oil quench. So if in doubt, oil quench, or if you think that there's a chance that it's air quench, try that first. So how many times would you have to heat and cool the one that is supposed to be just air cooled? You can heat metal as many times as you want, but if I were to take that, or this piece of steel, which is air quenching, I would heat it all the way up, and then if I wanted to harden it, I would just leave it on the anvil or a other metal surface and just allow it to air cool without messing with it. All right, let's do another heat. So I hope that's understandable. If you have any other questions, please let me know. Especially if I haven't explained it right, let me know. Because I have biases, and I forget sometimes what people generally have as far as knowledge. Sometimes. Now, the reason that I am water quenching this tool right now is because it's not getting up to full forging temperature. And so therefore I can cheat it a little bit. It's the same for if you are if you're grinding a knife, you want to make sure that it doesn't get too hot while you're grinding it. You can use water to quench it. I think I'm just going to put this back in the heat. We're going to turn it upside down to do that. We're going to put this direction in there this time. So just one time will make it hard enough. If you reach its hardening temperature, and like I said, you find its hardening temperature on its metallurgical data sheet, and you can find it online, usually. There are full databases and science fields all about metal and what temperatures each different type of metal and alloy needs. But yeah. Okay, cool. I did press the button. Okay, we have about, oh, cool. Maybe I'll jump down that rabbit hole. Oh, man, like I said, there are full scientific disciplines on metallurgy and just like different alloys and creating alloys and all that stuff. So good luck. I think that it's fascinating, to be quite honest, but it's just not something that I have the time to just delve into as much as I'd like to. I tend to learn by doing a lot of times. So good luck. If you're really interested in it, I hope you find it so interesting. I know I do. Okay, so we have about 15 minutes left in the stream, so I think we'll probably end at the 2.5 hour mark like normal. I love science, so why not? I love science too. It is so much fun. But yeah, I think we'll probably get about 2 more heats in before the stream ends. So if there's anybody that you guys would like to raid off to, please do let me know. I always take suggestions for that. If not, I'll find one of our friends or we'll make some new friends. Jaxie Girl, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Thank you for your support. I do stream Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 2:30 Eastern United States time. And we stream for about 2.5 hours. Sometimes we go a little bit longer if we're close to finishing something. We're just not close enough to finishing this drift that I feel comfortable like going until we're done. Like I said, we're getting close to halfway, but I think that we'll start up again on Wednesday. We will finish this drift and start working on the blade. Metallurgy is one heck of a rabbit hole. It is. It so is. It's one of those things that I was super, super excited to learn when I was in college. And then I learned that it was within the engineering field and it was a complete discipline on its own. And I just did not have the time nor the money to enroll in the engineering school. All right, let's do another heat. Heat number 1 of our last 2 heats. All right. Oopsie. I knew I was going to drop something. I was hoping it would be nothing. This way. Put some lube in there. Whew. All right. There we go. We are a good bit in there. We're going to flip it over again in hopes that we're not going to drop it. But we're going to flip it over again, stick it in just like so, and keep on keeping on. One more heat. Oh, there goes gravity. Exactly. Were you guys Eminem fans? I listened to like his radio hits, but I've never been like a big. I've never been into his discography, and I've never really been able to like listen to his deep cuts. Not a huge fan. Like I said, I am very much into pop, and I am also very much into dubstep and like EDM. My favorite EDM though is trance. So it has a very soothing, mellow melody, and then it's got a really good bass with regular intervals. It helps me time my hammer blows when I'm really having trouble. One of the singers I used to play for would always play that song randomly. Yeah, it was a really popular one. Definitely popular back in its day. But yeah, I think my favorite artist is Taylor Swift because, I mean, who isn't a fan of Taylor Swift? I know there are so many people who aren't fans of Taylor Swift, but she is so good. Her music is so complex, like musically. And a lot of people are like, nah, it's just pop or whatever. But if you really get into it and you really listen to it, her arrangements and her lyrics are so well put together and interesting, both lyrically and musically. Alrighty, guys. Let's see. We've got plenty of heat, so I'm going to do our last heat for the day. And after that, we will raid off. Okay. Okay. That'll work. That'll do. We can drop things on our last heat. That works. Not really dusty. There it goes. Ooh, that came out really nice and easy. Real nice and easy. All right. I'm going to flip this over again, or I'm going to drop my drift. You know, because I might drop my drift too. Rah! We're getting there. Real close. Alrighty. I think that's all she wrote for today. We are definitely about halfway through. Did you catch my drift? Yes. Alright, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Wow, you're still on. I'm at work. Had to go look at a machine. Yeah, we're about to raid off today. Or for the day. I was able to update the outro today. Yay! So we have most of the new people, the new subscribers. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you on Wednesday. All right, let's see who is available to raid. Anybody good? Let's hit up Mr. Boombody. It's been a while since we have raided Mr. Boombody. Michael Beastmo Doherty, thank you so much for joining us today. Alrighty, guys. Like I said, thank you so much for all of your support. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will be back on Wednesday. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.